From time to time in our national discourse, we come across disappointing situations and behaviors from our fellow citizens, high and low, followers and leaders, voters and devoted, the political class and the lowest class of Nigerian. It cuts across board. Behaviors so disappointing that sometimes we're tempted to ask, who raised you? Where did you learn that from? Sometimes you're met with the response, na Naija we dey. What does that mean? Today on Political Paradigm, we ask who Nigerians are, what do we stand for, what is our politics, what sort of education do we have, what are our morals, and most importantly, are we a nation? Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm on Channels Television. I am Kayla Magwa. No one is more qualified to answer these pertinent questions than the man tasked with molding our national identity as Nigerians. He's the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Mr. Lanre Isa Onilu. He hails from Kwara State, Nigeria, studied mass communication at the University of Lagos, and served as the former assistant editor of Sunday This Day and group political editor of the entire paper. Before he joined This Day, he was news editor at the Comet newspapers. He has a master's certificate in integrated marketing communication from the West Virginia University in the United States of America. Before he was appointed Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Mr. Onilu was the APC's National Publicity Secretary. Mr. Onilu, welcome to Political Paradigm.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
So let's talk a bit about the job. Many people say you're new on the job. How long have you been Director General now for?
Yeah, a week ago, well, just a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, I clocked 5th month. So I've been 5 months.
So 5 months in. How has it been these 5 months?
Exciting, I must say. It's been very exciting. Challenging though. I mean, from your introduction, you've mentioned how Nigeria has come to see itself as a country of anything goes. You know, so when you are confronted with that kind of task, it can be challenging. But the excitement in it is Nigerians, we are living a fake life. Our original lifestyle is excellent, and that's what we want to go back to. So it makes it easy because it's not consistent with who we are. So when you say, na Naija we dey, that's not who we are. So the excitement is that it is easily reversible. You can take us back to where we started from, where we missed the way. That's where the excitement comes back from. So we want to remove the fake and get back who we truly are. But
before you were APC spokesperson before you got this appointment. How did you have any idea how much work this was going to be?
Well, I'm not an alien to this country. We all know it's right before us. We all know the challenges we are facing in terms of attitude, mindset in this country. So whether you are in APC or you're in PDP or AMPP or you don't belong to any party whatsoever, we all know what this country has become. And we know there are no aliens who are routing all this negativity on us. It's by ourselves. So nothing new to me. The only difference is that I am now tasked with that responsibility of leading the charge to change the old narratives.
Give us an idea of what you met on the ground when you became DG.
Yeah, well, let me start by saying what was my impression of NOA. NOA that I went into was the NOA that I felt had lost its way and even its relevance, and I felt they were not doing anything. And that's just about what many Nigerians believe. But to be honest, that was not what I found. What I found was an agency populated with about 4,000 workforce who are committed Nigerians, who have expertise, who have knowledge, who already are, disillusioned because the system abandoned the agency.
What does that mean? I've heard you say this before.
Yes.
What do you mean by the system abandoned the staff?
Yeah, because we didn't get our priorities right. We were building infrastructure, concentrating on how to grow the economy. The issue of GDP, the issue of erasing poverty, the issue of insecurity and what have you. But you forget that the human element, the character of the citizens matter. It's a very important part of the process. So you can build all the bridges, and you have a citizenry that will wake up the following day and remove the railings and sell it off. So the issue of character, and then you cannot fight all those maladies. The issue of banditry, kidnapping, corruption, they are all attitudinal issues. So except we change our mindset, except we have an attitudinal change as a people, we are going nowhere. So for donkey years, we've not prioritized the need to nurture our citizens on values. And because we didn't do that, so we have people who get into government with no values. We have people who are in the police, no value orientation. We have in the military, we have in the banks, we have in the media, we have in whatever sector of our lives. We are all now who we are because somehow there were no structures, no institutions of nurturing. And we didn't even put any value system in place. So it's a country of anything goes. And that's what I guess you refer to when you said people say, "Na Naija we dey."
I mean, it's always very disappointing.
Absolutely.
Little things. You decide that you're going to be an honest Nigerian.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for my electricity. And then I'm going to have a meter. I'm going to ensure that I pay for what I use. But you will have neighbors who are
shortchanging
the system.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to, when it comes up, you're trying to say, look, this is wrong. They'll say, "Na Naija we dey." This Nigerian identity, you talked about us living a fake life earlier. Talk to us about the disparity between who we are as a people, what we stand for, and what this image is that we're trying to, identify ourselves with, and the problem with both of them.
Yeah, well, let me take you back a little. And this involves every tribe in this country. In some times past, a farmer will put tubers of yam by the roadside, indicate the price, and go back to the farm. He will go back to the farm, knowing fully well that whoever would pick those tubers of yam will put the exact amount there. That was who we are. Every tribe. But who are we now? We would see a fellow citizen standing on the third mainland bridge attempting to jump into the lagoon to commit suicide. We'll pick our camera. That's who we are now. We will get to any system, occupy any office, and believe that it's our time to also steal as much as we can steal from the till. That's who we are now. But that is not who we our true self.
So who were we initially?
Yeah, I just mentioned, I give an example now. In the past, we all care for ourselves.
So we're caring, honest people?
Honest people. Every tribe used to promote integrity. They recognized honor. But now, we take pride in wealth, wherever it comes from. We celebrate people that we don't even know the source. Even when we know that the source of the wealth, it's completely not where it should come from. We celebrate them and we protect our own thieves. So somebody from my tribe has stolen. So why should you blame him? What of the person from your own tribe who also stole? That's the kind of psyche. That's the kind of mindset that we have now. And that's not who we are. See, the people of other countries who come across us, they see people who are smart. They see people who are intelligent, who are confident. That's what people see. We've seen videos fly around when they describe Nigerians as smart people. We see that in the United States. We've seen that coming from South Africa and many other countries, where they have very positive, attributes from interacting with us that they describe us with. But somehow, the system has allowed us to deviate from those, virtues. And we have found ourselves in a situation where we're careless. So whatever we do now, it's about everybody trying to game the system. Everybody trying to take advantage of the system. Everybody trying to, get things done in whatever crooked way possible. And the system appears to protect, people like that. So, but that's not how we started. our founding fathers were people of integrity, of honor. We used to take pride in this country, but now there are no motivations. You cannot talk of patriotism when we are not motivated by what you see in the country. And so, especially when you have a population of the youth constituting over 2/3 of our population.
Some will say, sir, that there have been no examples for these young people.
Not just,
who are the honest Nigerians that the young person right now is looking up to?
Exactly. Not only did we not provide example to them, also because we also in the last 3 decades, both the government and the parents vacated their role in the lives of these children. So all the areas of intervention that we were supposed to have to ensure we nurture them, we didn't. We didn't nurture them by example. We didn't nurture them by putting concrete institutions in place that while in school, while undergoing training, whether vocational or artisanal experience, that they come across values. We didn't. They were not raised on those values. Majority of them grew up even on foreign values, watching cartoons 17 hours, 16 hours a day. Of these cartoons are 100% of foreign values, and parents don't even know what kind of content the children are growing up with. And then so you think the cartoons have helped you to keep them busy so you can do whatever you want to do. Primary school, pre-nursery, nursery, and primary school, they get to school, they watch this same foreign cartoon, and all sorts of ideas are allowed into them. All the voluntary institutions that we could have put in place, that used to be in place, are no longer there. We used to have the Boy Scouts, Girls Guides, Girls Brigades in those days, where these are voluntary institutions that were created to raise model citizens, where virtues, where values, where ethics were taught, where these people grew up with values, and they see themselves as models. So we don't have such institutions anymore. We used to have civic education in school those days, where, we grew up learning civics, ethics. It was taken away from the curriculum. We don't have that.
Do they still teach it in, because they taught it in university as well?
Well,
there was civic education.
It was generic. It was nothing specific to the uniqueness of a Nigerian. And the citizens of every country must be unique. Okay,
so let's now talk policy. As a national orientation agency of this country, is there some kind of document that spells out what we stand for? Let me explain what I mean. Every time you meet an American who wants to carry a gun, he always brings out the Declaration of Independence. It's the 4th Amendment. This is the 6th Amendment. There's always some amendment that they can pull in front of you and say, no, based on the law, I am allowed to do this. The ones who carry guns tell you, I am allowed to protect myself and my family. You cannot tell me not to carry a gun. So they're able to pull out laws that represent their values. Do we have, from the National Orientation Agency, any form of documentation that outlines who we are as a people and what values we stand for?
Yeah, beyond that, it's even in our constitution, ethics, issue of honesty, integrity.
Yeah, these are individual values. I'm talking about some core document that focuses on it.
I mean, constitution is a core document. Okay. In fact, it's the #1 document. It's there, what our values ought to be. Not only that, there has been a lot of effort. NOA itself has made effort in the past. ICPC, in conjunction with NOA, and the Office of the Secretary of the Federal Government, pulled together to produce a document on integrity. So there are documents, but there are two missing things, in what the effort they have made in the past. One is the fact that they were just documents like any other document. Nothing was done to translate this document, to everyday activity, where citizens are coming in contact with the tenets, the values that have been developed in those documents. There are no institutions to relate with that will make people to tailor their lifestyle towards what those documents contain. That was missing. Secondly, it was all about the citizens. Citizens must do this. We're asking too much of the citizens without the country itself and the people who are occupying political offices making any commitment. And it takes two to tango. You cannot be going this way and ask the rest of the country to go this direction. So we almost move towards the same direction. And that direction must be clearly defined. So we pull all of these past efforts together. We brought in experts and people from different categories and segments of the population. And they worked over, a couple of months to come up with what we now call the National Values Charter.
So there's a National Values Charter?
Absolutely. So the National Values Charter defines, it's a charter, it's a contract between the country and the citizens.
How old is this charter?
Just with the final document, the blueprint was ready just second week of January this year. And it started when I got to the office, when I started putting all this together along with my colleagues at
Better
NOA.
late than never.
Yeah, so we now have a document, and the president is committed to unveiling the charter formally sometimes this year. So we are working towards that. And the charter is now bringing the government, that is the country, to be a party on one side and the citizen as another party on the other side. So the government, or the country has its own role to play, and then the citizens have their own role to play. And so it has two components. The charter has two components. The first component is for the country, which we call the Nigerian promise. Just like you have the American dream. The American defines the values, that the Americans are nurtured with. So we have the Nigerian promise. And then the citizens on their own side, we have what we call the citizen codes, if you like, code of conduct. So the Nigerian promise is what defines the promises this country is making to us. Because you must put something on the table as a country. Even as parents, you must put something on the table for the children. That's what will motivate them. You cannot say, I'm not sending you to school, I'm not going to train you, I'm not going to give you food, and you want them to be good children in the home. It's not possible. So they must say what you are doing to motivate them. As parents, it's the same thing for the country. Country must put something in place to motivate the citizens. Because this is an emotional issue. It's a psychological thing. And then you must connect, the psychology with the country. That's when there can be sense of pride. That's when there can be, motivation to say, I love my country. So and
I want, before we continue, we talked about a few things that could be affecting people's ability to be patriotic. One of them we said was no examples for them. But, a bigger and I think more important reason will be that many of the people you're seeing in Nigeria right now have not seen a country that works.
Absolutely.
Many of them have not. They've not been able to see. They don't expect electricity.
Yeah.
They don't expect good roads.
Yeah.
It's a surprise. We see them do skits about it online and we think it's funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. Someone did a skit where he was writing the power sector, a particular disco, and he was telling the disco, we've had light for 2 days, it was raining and there was light, I'm a little worried.
Yeah,
Is everything okay? Because I don't know, does this mean I'm not going to have 2 months?
So that we don't get punished.
So we don't get punished for having steady electricity. We see these things, we make jokes about it, people laugh about it, but it's actually indicative of a bigger problem. When you have a country with young people who have not seen their country work, it's difficult for you to be able to teach them anything. What are you going to tell someone that hasn't benefited from government to be loyal to what?
Exactly. So that's why I say it's a psychological issue. And the first thing to do is for the country to now say, yes, it's never too late. And that's why I'm making this commitment now.
So this values charter, the president is going to launch it sometime this year.
Yeah, it's going to launch it.
How are we going to get people to believe what's in it?
So it's not just to launch it, fanfare, produce document, and then leave it at that. There must be institutions that are going to be part of our life, that growing up, we will come across these institutions. And they're going to nurture us, indoctrinate us on these values. A Christian home, when they say a Christian home or a Muslim home, it has some meaning. It means certain values are recognized and imbibed and exhibited in that family, along with that faith, isn't it? So it takes careful nurturing, both at home and in the churches and in the mosque. It's the same thing for country. You must put values in place. Then you now create institutions where people are going to be nurtured. And that's why we have identified 7 core policies to create institutions for nurturing. And this year, we're going to roll out 4 of them. And the four include, first and foremost, in schools, we are working with other agencies to introduce what we call citizenship study. Citizenship study is where from primary school, through secondary school, through the university, you learn about the core values of this country. You learn about what it means to be a Nigerian. You learn about what it's contained in what we call the Nigerian Promise. You learn about what it contains in what we call the Citizen Code. So if you find yourself after school and you become a minister or a governor or councillor or chairman or president or member of a National Assembly, you will know that your country has made 7 promises that you must fulfill. And it's not about political party. It's just like our constitution. It's not about party. Whichever party brings anybody to power, the Nigerian promise is sacrosanct. Those are the irreducible minimums that you must fulfill. So these 7 core promises... As government. If you find yourself if you play any role in government. So it is when they now take these promises, we now have parameters to judge individual who has found himself in that position and say, of these 7 things that are the minimum promises this country has made to us, you're failing in 3, you're failing in 2. You get the point. So we can hold people accountable at that level, and then we can mark progress. So on the other side of the citizen also, if you leave school, at the university, you come out with a certificate and it is stated that you have been found worthy in learning and character. Yet no character has been taught in school. And that's about values. And that's why we are bringing this back to the school, so that people learn character. So, and you identify and understand exactly what the element of the characters we are talking about. So for instance, you come out into the society from school, and as an ordinary citizen, you have commitment. That you have also made a pledge to the country, as well as the country has made to you as a citizen. So, and that's why we say in NOA that orientation is a journey, is not the destination. So, but you cannot embark on the journey until you define the destination. The destination is who are we supposed to be as Nigerians? What are our values? Once we understand that, then we now create the path to move towards achieving that particular, state of life, lifestyle. So now you cannot embark on orientation without defining where you are going.
So where are we going?
Nigeria? Where we are going is to now recover the Nigerian man.
Okay. Let's couch it properly. Yeah. If you go to the United States, if you meet an American, when you think of America, you think freedom, opportunity, freedom, exceptionalism,
pursuit of happiness.
Yes, the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
If you go to Japan, you think justice.
Yeah.
You think honor.
And community interest.
Yes.
Yeah, community participation.
Community over self. Community over self.
Yeah. If you go to France, it's about family
values. Okay. Germany.
Yeah. So each country.
If you go to Germany, it has its own.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, even in parts of Africa, if you go to Senegal, the first thought is democracy.
Yeah.
It is sacrosanct. It's in the way they talk. It's in the way they live.
Because they were nurtured.
Nurtured on those things.
Yes.
In Nigeria, who are we? What do we stand for?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to stand for? Maybe I should put it that way. What's the Nigerian supposed to stand for?
We're supposed to stand for shared values.
Shared values.
Yes, values that are clearly defined and codified. Just the same way we have the national anthem, the same way we have the national pledge. Our values must also be codified.
We had this conversation when we were in university. And most people who read sociology will probably understand this conversation. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call, obey.
Yeah.
To serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith.
Yeah.
Now, we hear this happen, we hear this anthem sung everywhere. But the meaning behind it, compatriots. So it's always been, I think the crux of the conversation at the time when we're in university is, who are compatriots? And what is Nigeria's call that we're supposed to obey? Maybe as DG of NOA, maybe you can help us understand this.
Yeah, you see, the call is what we lost. We lost that call. So even the caller is no longer making any call, and has nothing to obey. And that's why we are all what we are today. What is the call? The call is for all of us to be true Nigerian. And by being true Nigerian, that means you personify the values of a Nigerian. And in the first place, those values are not put in place. They are not codified. And even if they are codified, there are no institutions to even make us understand what the values are, so that when we are called, we can obey. So that is the issue.
Do you know what? You still haven't told me what the call is.
I don't want to go into being explicit about the value. The Nigerian promise, for instance, that the pledge the country is making to the citizens contain 7 pillars. It has 7 pillars. The Citizen Code also has 7 pillars. So we call it 7 for 7. But I don't want to go into the details because there'll be nothing left for the president to unveil. so let's keep it at that. You know, but it is enough.
I can't believe he should unveil it.
So it is enough to know that that's the Nigerian promise. Just like you have the American dream, which we just spelled out now. And that is the Citizen Code. And both sides are to commit themselves to fulfilling this. And once each side takes upon itself the need to fulfill this, then we have embarked on journey to nationhood. That's when we can emerge from being a country of several subnationals to become a nation, you know, and that's when we all can become compatriots, and not as Igbo man, Yoruba man, Hausa man, Fulani, Nupe, Ibibio, or whatever. You know, that's when a nation can emerge. And that's when Nigerian citizens can emerge. And that's why you and I can now have shared identity. That's why we can be proud to see ourselves first as Nigerians before we now talk about whatever tribe we come from.
You know, one thing we realized recently was a lot of people, in a lot of events that we go for, we hear the anthem, but we never hear the pledge.
Yeah.
It's an oath, isn't it? Because at least when we were taught civics, the pledge is an oath that you made to your country. I pledge, you actually hold your chest when you do. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God. That honor and glory, what is it?
The meaning of everything you have said is lost on all of us. We sing, we don't hear it. And we have no way of imbibing whatever that meant. And when we sing them, it's just another routine thing. It's just a ritual. It's like singing amapiano or afro. So it's nothing, Fuji or Juju. So it's nothing we are connected to psychologically. It makes no meaning to our lifestyle. And that's the missing link. And then we must reconnect.
How do we connect it back?
Exactly, it's by creating those institutions. First and foremost, codify them. Again, now mount the campaign. Make Nigerians to be aware of it and create institutions where all of us are going to be nurtured. And ensure also that people clearly understand what their roles are. We must understand our role. And again, we must set our priorities right. In a country where you are locked up in a room with some people for 3 months, doing all sorts of things that are unacceptable and that do not represent our values, and for doing it to their satisfaction, you get 120 million as a reward. And somebody who has lived up to expectation, has a true Nigerian, and excelled in an area that is positive, gets almost nothing. What example are we setting?
Bad ones.
Priorities. So we must get our priorities right. We must lay emphasis on things that, you know, edify us as a people, not on things that we cannot be associated with.
I mean, we have to, I think for many young people who are watching this program right now, they'll probably be thinking, well, we reward bad behavior in Nigeria.
Exactly. That's the
At
issue.
all levels, governments, so religious institutions, all the way down, you reward bad behavior.
So
the worse you are, the more people fear and respect you.
So how did we get there? So it is even difficult to be honest and to be a person of integrity in this country, because the system is going to purge you out.
You're going to have a lot of work to do. So how are you going to change this?
You know, it's first and foremost, the good thing is that every Nigerian not Nigerian likes the situation the way it is. So that makes it easy. No one thinks we are doing the right thing.
Some people like it. Those who are those who gain from this disorder.
Yeah, so they don't like it, but they are living with what is available. If you take it away today, because you see, people must know that when you say stop, and I look back, I see other people doing it. Why are you asking me to stop? But once we realize that the country itself is ready, we will adjust.
Is Nigeria ready? Are we ready as a country? Are we ready?
We are always ready.
Are the people of this country because it's your job?
Absolutely.
Are we ready for this?
I can tell you that Nigerians have some of the best followers you can have anywhere in the world. So our challenge in this country is not for lack of good followers. In fact, we are so good as followers that if we show bad example, we follow.
The reason why I'm asking for a time frame is that we've seen other director generals of the NOA.
Yeah.
They had good intentions.
Yeah.
They brought out change begins with me was pushed by the NOA.
Yeah.
But because there wasn't any timeline.
It was not just timeline. I just mentioned two things that were missing.
But we didn't see. We didn't see it come to fruition.
It would not. It would not, because I mentioned two things that were missing. And that's what we are correcting now. One is the fact that change begins with me was about the citizens. There are two sides to it. So we are correcting that. The second reason is the fact that there were no institutions created to nurture that change begins with me. And that's what I mentioned, the issue of civic education that will become compulsory all through the school system. And the second one is the issue of we are creating citizen brigades this year, 37,000 to start with, 1,000 per state. And the citizen brigades will be fashioned after Boy Scouts and Girl Guides of those days.
Why are we creating a new one when we already had?
We don't have. Which one do we have?
Wait, the Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts does not belong to us. And again, they are voluntary.
I know that it's not a Nigerian agency.
Not just that it's not a Nigerian agency. It's also because the country, the Nigerian, does not have anything to do with Boy Scouts. And it's not the Boy Scouts that you and I used to know. So when you go to school, those days when you talk of Boy Scouts in school, you know these are model citizens, people that were being raised as...
It was an honor to be a girl, to be in the girls' brigade.
Exactly.
It was an honor.
So
you would wear your scarf and show it off everywhere.
And then you don't want to misbehave.
Of course. You were a leader to your peers.
To your peers.
Yes.
So for them to emulate, you understand? So government is going to now champion this, start it all over again, and so that citizens can, key into it. So we hope that in the next 2 years, in other countries, government key into it. Government key into it. So what we have now is a shadow of whatever it was supposed to be. But this one must be government-led, deliberately done in a way that it creates a platform for youth and our children to be able to, be nurtured with values. That is one. That's the second one. The third one is, I mentioned that age 1 to 16 in this country today, they are exposed to foreign values. So we are raising foreigners in our homes. And parents are not even aware of what is contained in their brain that we have fed them with right in our bedroom through the television. So we must correct that.
How?
Fantastic. Very shortly, we are already, trying to reach out to Nigerians who have competencies, who can create cartoon characters of world-class standard. Because
I was just going to tell you that that's what the issue is.
Yes.
So you have kids who are, it's not just even on television. We have foreign curriculum in schools now. And they are the most expensive schools in the country. With foreign curriculum, with promises of further education. That's actually what the allure is. It's not just necessarily, I want my child to be trained with an American curriculum. No, it's the promise of further education. And that is something that we've not been able to harness as a country.
And that's why we are losing it. That's why we are submitting our suffering.
So when you have a child who's dealing with people with so much foreign influence, you don't want your kid to look inferior.
But
you would want your kid to be up to par.
Exactly, but there must be a situation, a stage where we say this must stop. And that's what we are starting.
What must stop?
What must stop is that we must take charge of ourselves. We must now ensure that our values are promoted. See, let me tell you clearly, almost some characters who were involved in the colonial administration in Nigeria, like Lord Dugard and co., also played the same role. They featured in India as well. in their postings. But what did the Indians do? The Indians took whatever technology they brought, ideas in terms of governance, but culture, they didn't allow anybody to touch it. Not only did Indians refuse to take foreign culture and values, they promoted their own to the extent that today they are exporter of their values and cultures. Millions of Nigerian homes today, they are on Z-World. And people have practical, I've seen people in Nigeria doing their wedding to pattern it after the Indians. But what did we do when they came here?
You didn't talk about one very popular one. For a lot of young women out there who are watching right now, a lot of us do yoga, myself included.
Following the Indians.
Following there. It's true.
You understand?
Very true. So, I never thought about it until you said it right now. It's part of the exercise routine. Yes. You do yoga in the morning.
I'm not saying all of that they are bringing are negative.
No, but they were able to export their own.
Exactly. Consciously. But what did we do in Nigeria? We threw our home, put everything in the bag, and flung it out of the window, and took whatever they were bringing wholesale. Okay, we can excuse ourselves for that mistake, but what about now?
Do we have anything Nigerian that we export?
Oh.
Apart from goods, sometimes.
Well,
are there any cultural things that we have exported?
No, we export a lot. When you go to America, go to London, you understand? There are areas in London or in the UK that you think you are in Oshodi, or you think you are in Enugu. You'll be hearing typical Nigerian languages, there. You even see how they have influenced some of the locals in those countries, that they also come to the market and use Nigerian language to haggle prices. So we do our own influence.
Yeah, but it's not, is it profitable?
In an unstructured
because it's not very, that's not very profitable to us as Nigerians.
So
maybe when it comes to music, one thing that we do export is Nigerian music.
We're not exporting Nigerian music.
Oh, okay.
We took foreign music and packaged it and put some Nigerian elements in it. That's why they are accepting it. They are not accepting these are not our local music. Whatever they are singing, you could see some of our instruments, in addition to the foreign instrument. But those are not our indigenous music. We killed our indigenous music in this, or we are killing, because some of them are still struggling. I mean, you are talking of Apala, Juju, the Canaries, you are talking of Fuji, you are talking of... These are our local Nigerian music. I would say they couldn't have accepted it in America if we had packaged them and promoted them. But what did we do? We are dancing. What you listen to? Pick your barrel, pick your paper, write down what lyrics we are listening. I mean, we're not talking about success. You can do anything and be successful. But we're talking of what belongs to us. They are not our cultural music. They are not our songs and dances. No, they are not. We're happy they are successful, but they are not. We must not forget that. You get the point. They didn't originate from here. We have managed to kill our own. We used to have Sakara. We used to have Apala. We used to have many of those things in those days. And people danced to them, and they were beautiful, philosophical, Nigerian.
The proponents, just before you continue, the proponents of Afrobeats are going to come for you.
No, that's
saying
not to come for. They're responsible to disagree.
They're going to come for you, but just so we can put it in perspective.
Yeah.
What you're basically saying is, even though we're calling it Afrobeat and everything, what we're seeing
we're happy about all of that.
Is an infusion of foreign elements into our local music and then its exportation.
Yeah.
But the actual origins of the music in itself is not
originate from here.
Okay.
You understand? Because the question you ask is, what is our own?
What is ours that has been exported?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what you see from Indian, you cannot trace it to another country and say India has had it and modify it. No, it belongs to India. That's the difference I'm certain. We are all happy that we have people who are promoting our country, because they're actually promoting our country. But the fact still remains that those music, the dances, the performances do not belong to us. They didn't originate from here. But it also speaks to something about us. That whether it's our own or it's someone else's, when we take it, we are so smart that we can turn it around and make it even better than whatever it is. So why are we not cultivating all of this? Why is the country not rolling its tanks behind this? That's what NOA is trying to do.
Does the Values Charter cover politics?
Every sector. You understand? Because it's about character.
Does it covers politics?
No, character covers everything. If you are of bad character, if you find yourself in the church or mosque, it will show. If you find yourself in a political office, it will show. Wherever you go with bad character, it will show. And if it is good character, it will also show. So what we are trying to do is to ensure we are of good character based on our well-defined and codified values. So once all of us have this national lifestyle based on these values, then wherever we take you to, it will show.
You know, politically, if you go to the US, you can say, oh, this person is Republican. He doesn't have to tell you. They don't have to tell you. You know, this person is Republican. You know, this person is Democrat.
Yeah, that's
based
ideology.
on how they, because they have their ideologies.
Exactly.
Politically in Nigeria, do we have that?
We have ideology.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
Our political ideology is get to power and make money. And that's what we say is not right. You understand? But the man who goes to mosque and church also have the same ideology. How to make money. The man who goes to the market, the same ideology, how to make money. So everywhere we are driven now by wealth, how to acquire wealth, and we don't bother about how the wealth comes together. That is the ideology.
What's the ideology supposed to be?
The ideology is supposed to be driven by who we are. And who are we is defined in these our values. The character, the mindset, the attitude, integrity, honor. You are pushing me to mention things I shouldn't be mentioning, that should be contained in the document that will be unveiled. You understand? But we all know it. That's why I said, even people who are not Nigerians, through interaction with Nigerians, they have seen that Nigerians have some of these qualities.
What's delaying the president from...
Not, it's not a delay.
When is he going to unveil the charter?
It's a process. We are close to it.
When? You said sometime this year.
Yeah.
Because even me, I want to know who I am. Because sometimes it feels like, well,
but you know who you are.
But you see, when you're doing, when you are who you are in a society,
what you want,
and you are standing out, you seem like a crazy person.
Exactly. So that's what you're actually looking for.
So I want to be able to say, no. This is who we are supposed to be.
Exactly.
I remember when this problem started, because it's something that a lot of us go through.
Yeah.
I remember when this started going through my mind was we would go to cover assignments, and they would be singing the national anthem and everybody is quiet.
Yeah.
You're not hearing any singing from the radio or whatever. It's the beat dum 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 dum. Then while it's going on, everyone is just quiet. And I used to sing. And while I'm singing, everybody in the hall you look like the hot one. Who is this one singing for?
Yeah.
You know. But after a while, I still notice that people stay doing it, and even
we are not. We have disconnected.
So we're
ourselves.
Many Nigerians who want to be patriotic or who are patriotic are tired of being looked at as crazy, of being unable to function in a society where you believe that you are doing what is the right thing to do based on what our laws are, but you're looked at as a crazy person. Yeah. The notion that if you are honest, you cannot be a politician, which is why I asked you if this is covered in politics.
Not just politics.
You hear politicians actually even say it to you. If you know that you're an honest person, go and open a church or a mosque.
But what do not come and
do not come and do politics.
It's the same thing. We say it's not. We would be making a mistake to think this is just about politics or politicians. No, it's everywhere you go. It's about Nigerians. Who have we become? Different from who we are. So the point now is, are we ready to go back to who we are? You just mentioned the issue of the kind of passion that comes to you when you are singing national anthem. Many people are just singing it. It's routine, it's ritual, as I've said. Nobody is connected to it. But we must connect to it. We must understand and live true to the meaning of those, the words that are coming out of the anthem and the pledges. When you say national pledge, you're recommitting yourself to the country. You understand? But do we feel that way? We are psychologically disconnected. You know, no feelings towards that anymore. So we must reconnect back to it, but that will not happen by itself, except the country itself has demonstrated that now we are also ready. And that's why the charter is very key. Why? Because the two sides must be involved. If it is one-sided, then I will run through whatever number of days or years I will spend there, and another DJ will come and start all over again.
I want to be able to talk about something that's also very crucial in this conversation. Nigeria's image abroad. It's in tatters in many parts of the world. What's the NOA doing about this reputation of ours?
Yeah, you're talking of the Global Perception Index.
Yes.
You know, see, the perception index of this country didn't just fall off the sky. It's what they see. It's what they interact with. It's what they read. It's what they listen to. And if we are not exhibiting those things, they won't talk about it that way. And what we have been discussing since we started this program is all about that. So they are not lying against us, but it is not who we are. But that's what we are doing. So there must be a difference.
You know,
between,
I agree with you in the sense that, you know, it's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
But you see, what's being seen isn't the major. We're not all facing the EFCC.
Not who we are.
We're not all being investigated.
It's even worse in some countries than it is here. But see, the unfortunate thing is, if you are in a country that has massive corruption, that has all those negative things, but the citizens have reasons to believe in their country, they are not going to be the one propagating negativity about their country. The difference with us in Nigeria is that if you want to hear the worst about this country, ask a Nigerian. No one else, no foreigner is as pessimistic about Nigeria than a Nigerian. So we are, by ourselves, are the one projecting this negativity. And that's what they see. So you see a situation where somebody is saying Nigerians are smart, but they ask him, what is the example? He now tells you how a Nigerian sold an airport that does not exist. Oh, of course, that happened. You get the point. But for that one person, that negative person, there are hundreds of positive other ones. In America today, Nigerians are the most educated.
How is the NOA laundering our image?
Yeah, that's the. You know, I mentioned 3. I said there are 7 things we have identified. We are going to do 4 this year. I mentioned 3 already. I mentioned the civic education. I mentioned the the citizen brigades. Then I mentioned the cartoon that we are going to now, it will become part of our law, that at least 70% of the content of the cartoons that people will be watching will be about us. So that the 10-year-old boy in Ibadan, who today knows about the people of New York because he's been seeing their lifestyle through cartoon, and he doesn't know anything about the people of Enugu, with whom he's supposed.
But what about the older generation?
Yeah,
the ones who have decided.
That's why I'm good. You are talking of perception now. You understand? I've just mentioned the 3, so I was just explaining the 3rd one. So the 4th one is the reputation management. Okay. And that is both local and international. We must tell the people, now we have core values. We have defined who we are. And what we are saying is not a lie. That's who we truly are. Forget about what we have been doing. We're living a fake life. We want to go back to who we are truly. You know, so, and that's why we now launch a global campaign. A global campaign, we are starting even in Nigeria next week. You will begin to see some of our, materials on TV, on radio, and on the major roads in the country and major locations, across the country. And you're going to be seen eventually in major capitals of the world to tell the world this is who we are. So when you see a Nigerian that behaves different from what we have said we are, then he is not a true Nigerian. So we must be able to let people know who we are so that they can bring and separate that person who is misrepresenting us and say you are not a true Nigerian. Nigerians say this and that and that. But we must back it up with actions. And that's why the value charter is very important. They must see that we have a committed government. Thankfully, we have one now. Then the citizens also must be committed. But the citizen cannot be the first to be called upon to be committed. The government itself, representing the country in this bargain, must demonstrate readiness, must demonstrate they are ready to implement these values, imbibe the values, and allow the values to run through our system. Then the citizen will respond. We have said here that Nigerians are good followers. We follow once you show us direction. I'll take you back to 1984 when we had Buhari government and they said war against indiscipline. Nigerians complied.
We stayed on the queue.
We stayed on the queue. Are you getting it? But 2 years later, another government came and said, sorry, we are joking, relax. We relaxed. How better can you be as a follower? We follow whatever you want us to do, but you must show us example. You know,
our time is fast spent, but I want to be able to get from your perspective as DG, what sort of Nigerians do you want us to be, based on your knowledge of what we are supposed to be?
Okay, so let me mention one.
Who should the Nigerian be? And before you go, you have to talk to us a bit about nationhood. I know you touched it earlier.
Yeah.
Do we have a nation?
No, we do not. Okay, so who are we supposed to be, first and foremost? Let me take one of the 7 core commitments of the citizens in the National Values Charter. And that is what we call the duty of care. A Nigerian, a proper Nigerian, a true Nigerian must be the person who cares about his fellow citizen. So wherever you find yourself, you know you hold your compatriot a duty of care. And today, that is missing completely. You know when you go to police station, you know where you're going to get. You're not going to get a duty of care. You know when you go to the hospital, the nurses, the doctors won't give you a duty of care. You know when they come to immigration or to bank or to anywhere, any point of contact in this country, you're not going. You enter ordinary, even a taxi. You know, you're not going to get a duty of care. You want a motorbike, an Okada or tricycle. You're not going to get a duty of care. You go to the market. You're not going to get a duty of care. You want to commit suicide. Somebody is watching you. He's not going to care about how you want to end up. It's busy recording you. We're not going to get a duty of care. So duty of care is one of the 7 core values of citizenship that is contained in the Value Charter. That if that is launched and that becomes part of our life, and I come to you and you go to that extra mile to care for me, and someone else come to me also, I extend that to him. And by the time we do this for ourselves, then we are going to have Nigerians that care. That is who we are supposed to be as Nigerians. I've just mentioned one of the 7.
The duty of care.
Duty of care. It's one of the 7 core commitments of the citizens to ourselves. So part of the duty of care is that if I find myself in a position, I'm not going to abuse it because it will affect some people. Because I hold those people with duty of care. You know, so, but I mean, you have pushed me this far. Don't let me say more about what is contained in the charter. You know, so
they're telling us that we have to round up. But before that, you just said something that shocked me a little bit.
Yeah.
I asked you if we are a nation.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Are we a nation?
We are not. We're a country. There's a difference between a country and a nation. When you are in a country, you think of where you come from. I'm Yoruba, you are Igbo, we are Hausa. You cling to that. But when you become a nation, you say, first, I'm a Nigerian, before you talk of where you come from. We have not evolved as a nation. But we cannot become a nation until we set the path to nationhood. And the path to nationhood is by defining who we are. And now put institutions in place to ensure that it leads us to become who we are. So when we have become that, then you come to me, where you come from does not matter. The fact that you are a Nigerian is enough for me. And that goes round. That's when we have a nation. And that's why Nigerianness become your first priority before wherever you come from. And that is the process to get there.
Well, we do have to start getting ready to round up. I want to be able to get you to talk to the Nigerian people as Director General. I hardly ever see you on TV.
Well,
I see you sometimes on terrestrial. Cable TV, I hardly see you. I think just
in the last 1
times.
month, I must have done up to 6 of this kind of interviews.
On cable TV?
Yeah.
And maybe online platforms
We are
as
online.
well.
No,
not the NOA being online.
Yeah.
But speaking to more people online.
I've gone to 14 states. 14 states, just in 5 months. Meeting with the traditional rulers, galvanizing our staff in the state, meeting with the community leaders. 14 states have gone around. But this is a very big country. And you also know what resources you require.
I mean, it's great that you're doing ground movements like that, because that is very expensive.
It's very important. Yeah.
What's cheaper is data. You can actually just do videos online.
We do all of that. See, okay, within the last 5 months at NOA, we built a TV studio. We built a radio studio. We are publishing what we call the Explainer newsletter that comes out every Friday. All of these are things that we are using to project the activities of government to the citizens. But you're dealing with a country of 220, 30 million people. In 5 months, you can't get to everywhere. And when the resources is actually not there yet, so there's a limit to what you can do. But what is important is we have been very methodical. We have laid the foundation, and we are growing it on a daily basis, and people are beginning to see the difference. In the past, the MAMSA that people would always refer to, MAMSA in every local government some local government had 3 vehicles. Because you cannot mobilize Nigerians, you cannot sensitize them, you cannot enlighten them, you cannot give them orientation. If you cannot move from one community to another, you cannot interact with people. So some local government had 3 vehicles during MAMSA. As of today, not one local government in Nigeria has even motorbike in our NOA office. So that is the part of the challenges. You get the point. But that is not in any way going to stop us from actually achieving this objective.
Well, I want to thank you very much for making out the time to speak with us. And I'm still going to say data is cheaper. Yeah. Data is cheaper than moving. I understand you do have to do that groundwork, because if you know Nigeria, you will know that most people do not have access.
I was going to say that.
Do they not have access to social media?
The entire people of social media in this country is just 31 million.
Exactly. But we do need to reach those people as well.
We are doing that.
I think maybe we'll have to talk a bit more after the program.
Absolutely.
But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Onilu, for speaking to us on the program. And good luck with all the work you do.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
We have been speaking with the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Mr. Lanre Isa Onilu. Please join the conversation on channelstv.com. Leave your comments there, respectfully, of course, and join us as we keep asking the accountability question until it is answered. I am Kayla Magwa. See you next time.